One very common adjustment in Photoshop is the hue and saturation adjustment. Hue and saturation allows you to shift the colors of your image, increase or decrease color intensity, as well as adjust lightness. However, I highly recommend staying away from the lightness feature within the hue and saturation adjustment. You'll see why in a moment. There are two ways to add a hue and saturation adjustment to your image. You can either head up to Image, Adjustments, and then click on Hue and Saturation, which can be also accessed using the shortcut key, or you can add it as an adjustment layer. 9 times out of 10, I would highly recommend using an adjustment layer, but to really show you how this feature works, we're going to bring up the full Hue and Saturation dialog box. Within Hue and Saturation, we can choose to adjust all colors in our image, or we can pick specific hues to focus on using this drop-down menu right here. For now, we're going to stick with Master. At the bottom of this window, you'll notice 2 color bars. The top bar is the original hue, and the bottom bar represents the shift. You'll notice as we drag our hue slider, the top bar remains stationary while the bottom bar shifts to display the new hue. Looking closer, in this case, as we drag our slider to the right, our red hues start to shift to a green, which can be seen in the image in front of you. Now, saturation controls the intensity of your colors. Essentially, as you increase the saturation, Photoshop removes traces of gray that may be present in your image. Sliding the slider to the right will result in a much stronger, more rich colored image. However, unless you want a far-out result, adding too much saturation tends to make your colors look blown out. Decreasing the saturation will start to add gray to your image, and if dragged all the way to the left, will result in a monochromatic image. I mentioned earlier that you should try and stay away from the lightness adjustment within hue and saturation. This feature takes the cheap way of lightening and darkening your image by simply squashing and shifting the histogram. If you are looking to adjust the lightness of your image, I would highly recommend using levels instead. It will give you a much more flexible method to lighten and darken your photos. The last thing I want to show you is the Colorize checkbox. If you're looking to add a single color overlay to your images, this will help you do that. Simply check the Colorize box and then adjust the hue to your liking. And that's hue and saturation. Remember, if you're looking for a non-destructive way to edit your photos, make sure to use adjustment layers instead.